In this maiden edition of the Young Diplomats of Ghana podcast, we will be looking at societal expectations based on young people and how these expectations influence our decision-making and conduct as we go about our daily lives. Historically, Ghanaian communities have been very communal, with each person's business basically being the business of the entire community. And while we have shifted from this towards a more individualistic setting, there is no denying the fact that even in our present day and age, most of the decisions that we take as young people are influenced by societal expectations that have been placed on us. In this discussion today, we will be looking at some of these societal expectations and how best we can navigate these expectations to forge a path of our own. I am Maame Ekua Otenewa Oduro, and I will be your host for today. With me, I have Sedinam Botwe, Godwin Doe, and Abena Obimpeh. They'll do a brief introduction of themselves.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sedinam Botwe. I'm currently a lawyer. I work with Kimathi & Partners, which is a law firm here in Accra. I'm also passionate about gender equality, climate change, and sustainable development.
Hi, my name is Godwin Doe. I am a development who has experience working with United Nations in Ghana. I'm passionate about public policy, climate action, and also sustainable development for supply. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maame Ekua Otenewa Oduro. I'm a team lead at an IB World School at East Legon. I love being around children. I enjoy being with them. And I'm so passionate about quality education. Thank you.
Blessed to have such a diverse panel with a depth of experience. So for starters, we will be trying to find out what societal expectations are. So Sedinam, what do societal expectations mean to you and how did they play out in your daily life?
Okay. Generally, societal expectations are certain norms or certain standards that are imposed on anyone based on certain factors. So it could be your gender, it could also be because of your standing in society, because of your religion, etc. So for example, in society, there's a certain way that women are expected to dress. There are certain ideals that women are expected to aspire to, certain ideals that men are expected to aspire to as well. So these are the things that we term as societal expectations. And for me personally, growing up, as a child who does well in school, there are certain courses you're expected to study. So when you say, no, I don't want to study science, I want to do general arts, there are some questions that you get and people look at you funny. So that, for me, has been some of the expectations that I have faced. But this is just on a lighter note.
Sure.
All right, so for me, mine is more of taking it in the two ways, social and expectations, right? It has to do with our discourse, where we grow up, the environment in which we grow up, and looking at the expectations, what people expect, what they're looking out for you to do, basically. So for me, I think it's historical. It has to do with our culture, and it informs our gender roles in society as well. Men are seen as economic providers. They are seen as the providers in the sense that they have to produce protection to families. They also have solution that they need for the entire family to follow. Women are seen as economic supporters. It supports the men as and when they can, and they nurture the kids. And also, women are also seen as the custodians of culture in the sense that they prepare the young individuals or kids for rites of passage. For example, in the urban land, you have the full rights and how they can prepare them to actually go through this.
Yeah. One interesting thing about societal expectation for me is the fact that they are actually unwritten rules. So you don't need someone to tell you what you're expected to do. Once you find yourself in society, you're obliged to go according to the rules, the norms, and the values. And growing up, I came to notice that when it comes to career path, it's so stereotypical to see that as a lady, you can't say you want to go into engineering. You can't say you want to go into construction. You want to go even into IT. So it's like that mindset grew with some of us. But I'm just thankful for education and other things that have really shaped some of my mentality. So that is societal expectations for me.
So now, would you say there has been a time in your life where you have made any key personal decisions based more on society's expectations of you than what you would prefer to do?
That would be my time in the university for undergrad. You know, going into school as a first year, and you're pushed to want to do what people are doing in school. So you're looking at how people are dressed, like Sedinam said, and you really want to dress like how they are dressing because you want to fit into societal expectation. But coming out of the university, going forward into work and being who I am now, I stand for what I value or what I believe in. I think I've changed, but then, societal expectation was really playing a really good game on me. Yeah.
So Godwin, I'm really interested in today. There are lots of expectations placed on young men, especially by young women. Even before marriage, there are a lot of young women that expect financial support from men. Even aside women, I'm sure there are people in your family, extended family, who may think, hey, now you're working, so you must bring something home. How do you manage those expectations? And what do you do when you feel like you are not able to live up to those expectations? How do they impact your mental health?
Okay, so for me, it's been more of being self-aware, others are aware, and collectionally aware. And I just try to understand that I'm not supposed to be pressured, regardless of age. If I can't meet it, I'll just look at it. I'm sorry, I can't meet these expectations. And to others, I mean, young men out there, they get pressure. It affects their mental health. It affects your perceived judgment. It also affects the way you react to things as well. That passes down to maybe the rise in unemployment and the social vice. Sorry. Because if I'm receiving pressure from my girlfriend, the family that actually needs, beyond this financial ladder or something to actually support, and I'm forced to do it, then I'll end up joining a gang somewhere, trying to find means and ways to earn a living and to support you as well. And it also leads to a lot of issues in society today, because you find a lot of unemployed people try to, find ways to earn money. In this instance, they gamble, they go on the street and in Europe. You can be in the total into phone or maybe transports on or buying, and some will probably snatch your phone.
It's very risky.
It is that as a result of the pressures we receive from families, some reasons. Girls.
Okay, so Sedinam, can you talk about some hindrances that exist in the career space that may inhibit women's progression in ways that may not inhibit men's progression? Maybe pressures from family, maybe pressures from even men in the same workspace. Can you talk about any such?
Yes, definitely. Working in the legal space, first things first, we are grateful for the fact that the Affirmative Action Bill has finally been passed into law. So there are obligations on both employers in the public sector and in the private sector as well to ensure that certain minimum requirements are met when it comes to women in leadership positions and even women working in that particular workplace. So we are thankful for that. But that aside, the issue of gender bias is still very strong, especially in the legal space. For some time now, people have perceived law to be a boys' club.
Yes.
So as a woman, especially when it comes to litigation, there are certain law firms that you go to and they advise you that, as a woman, you should look more towards the corporate and commercial aspects of the law, and that going to court is so hard and you have to travel from here to here. It's not safe, blah, blah, blah. And so as a woman, there's that kind of perceived things you can't do in the workplace. And for some law firms as well, there's always the threat of sexual harassment, especially for a lot of women. You would like to reach a certain aspect in your professional development, but then you are faced with the pressures of, if you sleep with me, I'll promote you. If you give in, I will give you the job. So those are certain things that we face on a daily basis when it comes to societal expectations, because as a woman, it's as if you cannot go beyond a certain degree, because you have to think about your wife, your husband. You have to think about your husband, your children, your family. And so to that extent, women still face a lot of pressure in the work environment.
Right. And with that, I think it's also worth adding the fact that people most of the time tend to think women never really get anything by merit, and then men just favor them. They just get an easy pass, maybe because of the way they look, which I think is very unfortunate. Moving on, let's also talk about the role of social media in our current dispensation. Social media is a huge force influencing so much that goes around us daily. So looking at the expectations that we face on social media, how do we balance that? How do we make sure that we are still staying true to our values and that we are sticking true to what we believe in while being cool enough on social media?
So, with my experience on social media, as a young man, you have to express emotions. No matter what you're going through. You don't just have to have a mental breakdown. Like, why are you going to come on social media and they are trying to express how you feel about certain things? Like, how do I like you? Why?
That's true.
But I actually feel the best way we can actually handle this is to validate these things.
Yes.
Before I can get a solution to the problem, I need to validate it and accept it. I need this I'm actually going through.
Yeah.
So with social media, I think they should be more welcoming. They should actually embrace diversity. They see things in different ways. Expected.
And what I also like to add is the fact that society is setting some standards on social media, especially for the girl child or for women, that you need to have a particular body stature to be able to fit into society. And for me, I feel you shouldn't succumb to these things. You should know your values. I would always say, know your values, reflect on yourself, self-awareness, know these things. So that if society is saying that the woman should have 8-figure, 9-figure, even if you're a 2-figured person, I mean, stick to that and just be yourself. Because like Otenewa said some time ago, expectations will always be there. Maybe the next 10 years, maybe we want a triangular set kind of a woman walking in society. So I say you're going to change your whole self to fit into that triangular shaped person walking into society. Expectations won't go away. They're going to be there day in and day out. Just stick true to who you are, value yourself, and just let society be yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, on the issue of valuing yourself and knowing who you are, a lot of the time there's this fake pressure on social media to live a certain kind of life. So they'll say, oh, soft life. You see girls traveling here, doing this, looking cool, having fun. And you're tempted to want that kind of life, even though in the moment you can't afford it. And Godwin made a point earlier about how that pressure leads people to doing things that are criminal just so that they can fit in. And I think that for young women as well, there are people there's this girl on TikTok, Kutachi or something, she's always like new gadgets, eating something crazy, and people like that, they make you feel like, oh my God, am I living life? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? But at the end of the day, you have to remain true to yourself. Don't let the things you see on social media get to you so much, and do what you can. Life is for you to live.
And also based on values, so I think I have to add this. Boys will always boys. You always like to have fun in that way, which I think somewhat is not enough. And I mean, if I should post on social media today, I wouldn't get as much likes as they certain way. Because I mean, everybody knows what's going on. That's what society has kept down there. So you should get focused on the likes and the kind of comments and we get in the matter. And it's focused on what you're actually putting out there and then we pressure out.
Yeah.
But while we talk about this, do we also think there are any societal expectations that are actually good or that should actually be maintained because they have a greater utility for us as young people than if we were to do away with them completely and say, I don't owe anyone anything. Society can't control my life. Are there any?
Yes, there certainly are. I mean, there are some values that should be upheld irrespective of the generation. Respect is respect. Honesty is honesty. Integrity is key. So these are values that no matter the generation we find ourselves in, if society expects us to be respectful, we need to. If society is asking us to have integrity, we should have that, irrespective of, you shouldn't say that society is expecting me to be respectful, this is where I am, I can't. No, there are certain values or there are certain core values we need to uphold regardless. But I also think that there should be some form of a balance or a limit when it comes to marriage. Marriage is good. I mean, for the woman, I mean, because the pressure is always on the woman. Let me just say it like that. It's a good institution, you know. But then if we can balance how we go about putting that expectation on the woman, I'm sure we'll be fine. Most women wouldn't be complaining that we are being forced into marriages, or there's this expectation to get married within 26, 7, or even 30. So we should have a balance. But if there are some integral parts of some values, they should be the same. But otherwise, we should have a limit and should balance it properly. Yeah.
And I, on the friend, believe that positive values feed into principles. And principles are some of the best as you mentioned, integrity. He says, so let's say, as an aspiring diplomat, a young man, being decent on social media is actually very positive. Because one day when you are being called as a full-blown diplomat, you're past. That can actually feed into who you end up becoming. So being decent is universal, and this is some of the values I think we should.
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, associating myself with those comments, I have nothing else to add.
I would also like to know if, as young people, we have any people that we look up to for inspiration. Maybe someone that we think this person has done a really great job at balancing society's expectations on them. They've been able to meet those expectations, but they still seem to be thriving while following their own path. Are there any such people that we look up to that we would like to emulate?
Yeah, definitely. For me, my top female role model has been, well, the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. She has been a monumental inspiration to me in terms of how she lived her personal life, because I believe she was married, she had children, but she was one of the most impactful justices on the U.S. Supreme Court. There are lots of decisions that she has made that you can see that, yes, this one made these decisions with women at heart. She tried her best to represent women as much as she could, and to that extent, I think that's amazing. So I really do look up to her. I feel like she lived up to expectation and also charted her own course as a woman on the U.S. Supreme Court.
And I also look up, I still take inspiration as a life mentor, not just Kofi Annan. I think his personal life fed into the UN based on some of the kind of principles he exuded, the decisions he made, even though he wasn't perfect, which in business, there's no perfection. I mean, you try to make things work for yourself. And at the center of everything he did, you could find humanity in it. You could find integrity. You could find visionary leadership, and most importantly, scientific leadership. He wouldn't run an intervention without knowing the background or trying to understand what's the root cause of it, which actually is possible, you know. So I did look up to him, even though he's still more, but I still take inspiration.
So what are some effective strategies that we believe young people could employ in better managing these societal expectations while charting their own path?
So for me, I think you should keep to the bigger picture as to what you really want to do, and make sure you set short-term goals to actually meet this. And I mean, when you feel worried, listen to podcasts. It's the YDG podcast. I mean, read a book, visit the park, just find yourself doing something. No pressure. Just take it one step at a time, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I also think you should have supportive friends, family, elderly people who you can call on to, who can help you, give you good counsel. That will also help you. So, yeah.
For me, the points that Mama Abena made earlier about knowing who you are, being aware of yourself and your core values, those are things that will guide you, because like you said earlier, societal expectations will change with time. But then what matters is staying true to yourself, knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and doing the things you need to get there.
For me, I think it would be a very unfortunate position to be in if you find that you have made a key decision about your life based on what society would have expected rather than what you yourself would prefer. So while it is important for us to prioritize the expectations that our parents or the people that actually feed us, clothe us, house us, may have on our lives, it's we shouldn't allow what society thinks or what people would see to influence us, because society would always have something to see and people would always have something to think about. So let's just hold on to our values as has been said, and just do our absolute best to create the kind of lives that we envision for ourselves. it's been a really insightful discussion. We would take final words from our panelists.
Yeah. So just know, like I already said, expectations will never go. Stay true to yourself, uphold your values, and yeah, you'll be good.
A lot of people have opinions, but the person that takes the decision matters the most. And this is decision. So be you, have fun, and stay positive.
Yeah.
Man, know thyself.
Yeah.
Yes, this has been a lovely conversation. We hope you stay tuned to the subsequent episodes. And thanks for your audience. Do have a great day.